So, Zach, I know you're a quarterback guy, and I know this is a bit early, but what are your thoughts on North Dakota State's Trey Lance? I've kept up with NDSU since Carson Wentz was there. I wanted the Browns to draft him before that trade down, and he was electric last year. I saw in Bleacher Report's first 2021 mock draft, they actually had Trey Lance going ahead of Justin Fields. What do you think about Trey Lance's upside or talent, and do you think his production is a product of the level of competition he plays? Obviously, some of what he does won't be sustainable with the scrambling, the 0 picks, 0 turnovers, and low turnovers, and only being sacked 12 times. What are your thoughts on Trey Lance? Number one, Justin Fields is not a very good NFL prospect. I'm not shocked at all that he's lower than Trey Lance. That could change, but right now, Justin Fields does not have NFL habits, and he doesn't throw the ball at an NFL level. Trey Lance, I watched Trey Lance's film. Trey Lance is better than Justin Fields. I watched 8 games that Trey Lance played last year, and I'll be totally honest, after watching 8 games, I can't tell whether or not Trey Lance is going to be a first-round quarterback just yet. I can't tell. Probably, but he's definitely, Trey Lance is absolutely an NFL quarterback. He plays at North Dakota State. They are Division I AA. Now, Carson Wentz went there, so he was the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. It's pretty clear if a quarterback does well enough at NDSU, the NFL is going to find you and notice you. Now, Trey Lance's film is tough for a couple of complicated reasons. He plays on a team that is so dominant. They're more dominant than Alabama. Their team is just loaded compared to the people they play against. And he's playing at a lower level. So Trey Lance is playing against, slower, defenses with slower players that are less talented. And you just don't see very many throws in a tight windows from Trey Lance. It doesn't happen. Really, you don't see any. And I can't predict how NFL teams are going to feel about Trey Lance. I just don't. I can't tell you, is this team going to like him? I can't tell you what teams are going to feel about him. But I will tell you what I feel about him, man. He's got a beautiful, beautiful deep ball. Oh my, it's pretty. Watching him wind up and throw the ball downfield, I go, I love that. And I don't usually love how that looks the way I do with Trey Lance. Now, I will say it's kind of odd. He's got a great deep ball. I mean, he can flick the ball like a million miles. But he doesn't drive the ball downfield as well as I'd like. He's got a weaker spiral. And he needs to work on his mechanics when he's throwing a 10-yard out or deeper comebacks along the sideline. It's fixable, though. His struggling to throw the ball on a line, driving the ball the way he needs to, it's not a thing. It's not a talent issue. It's really a mechanical issue. If Trey Lance can work on his mechanics a little bit, he throws way over the top, bring his arm down a little bit more at a 90-degree angle, he's going to have a lot easier time driving the ball downfield. He was a redshirt freshman last year. And so the dude has a lot of time to develop and get better. And there are times, I will say, where he could have a better job anticipating throws, throwing earlier as the receiver breaks. He's occasionally a little late. Now, he gets away with it because, again, playing against bad defenses, playing with teams that are players on his own team that are incredible. There are a couple things I love. Number one, Trey Lance had 0 interceptions last year. Now, you have to get a little bit lucky, I guess. Anytime you have a year with no interceptions, you're lucky to some degree because, the ball never got tipped up, never got, maybe your own receiver drops the ball and it gets tipped up and intercepted. He had nothing like that. But watching film, my question was why does Trey Lance have no interceptions? Was he lucky? Are they being dropped? Is he not throwing the ball very much? What's going on? And no, the reason why Trey Lance didn't throw any interceptions last year is because he's a really good decision maker. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous how often, I watched 8 games he played last year, I never saw a moment where he made a bad decision. I'm waiting, and he made the right call every single time, sending the ball to the right player. He makes great decisions. He doesn't get bored with success. He takes an easy throw if the defense gives him one. I literally never saw him. In 8 games, he never made a bad decision. I was kind of blown away. That's ridiculous. Now, number one, Trey Lance gets the ball out of his hands so quickly. He very rarely does throw to his third or fourth option. He's pretty much catch and throw most of the time. Now, there is a play against Nicholls State where he worked across the field, number 1, not there, number 2, not there. He found his third or his fourth option. I really like that. So Trey Lance is capable of working through a progression, throwing to a later option. We just don't see it very often. he had a great offensive line. Many people criticize, well, Trey Lance plays with a really good football team. His offensive line is unbelievable. No, when I was watching Trey Lance, I saw an NFL level of ability to move it in the pocket. It's not like he's a statue standing back there with no bodies around him. He's sliding and stepping up in the pocket. He moves around like an NFL quarterback. He's really good at extending plays. He's very calm. He's really calm in big moments. He played great in the playoffs. That does matter to me. But Trey Lance is developing. However, he's got a ton of NFL habits. And so I don't like the fact that Trey Lance does a bunch of designed quarterback runs. He'll run up the middle a lot. He did, running between the tackles up the middle, getting hit a bunch. I fear he might get hurt someday. And NDSU does not need their quarterback doing that. They're dominant so much already. They don't need their quarterback running up the middle between the tackles. If I were a coach in the NFL, I'd say, hey, NDSU, can you not do that? We like your quarterback, and we don't want to see him get hurt. But I can't wait to see the kid grow over time at NDSU. He's a really good quarterback. I love him. He's a great decision maker. I hope as time goes on, we start to see more NFL-level throws where he's throwing into tighter windows and guys aren't just wide open. But it's always going to be, Trey Lance will always have a lower level of NFL-level throws because the talent around him is so good and the talent they play against is so not good. But I love Trey Lance. You can tell he works hard. He's liked by his teammates. He's a future NFL quarterback. I don't know yet if he's a first-round quarterback. I lean that way. But if he keeps getting better, he already is like an NFL quarterback, and so we'll see where he's at in 2 years from now. But right now, Trey Lance is a phenomenal quarterback. I appreciate you wanting me to pay attention to him. I knew the name, I knew who he was. I just never really believed in his stat line. Nope. He's great. He deserves the praise. He's a really good quarterback. He's a future NFL quarterback. The question is, what round is he going to get drafted in down the road, first or later? In case you don't know, Strong Opinion Sports is not just a YouTube channel. It is also a full audio podcast. You can find it on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Play, pretty much everywhere you find podcasts. And if you like podcasts, please do me a huge favor and give it a listen.